We're with Tim Hutchins, running for District 2, Calvert County Commissioners in the Republican primary. And we want to ask Tim Hutchins, look, you're running for commissioner, and that job, more than anything, you raise money and you spend money. You determine what the taxation will be, and you have to deal with the county agencies on how to appropriate the money and tell them, you know, you're asking for too much, we don't have it. What part of your experience do you think will help you the most in doing this?
Two parts the answer to that question. First of all, my time in the Maryland House of Delegates, of working through the legislative process of budgets and of hearings and of public affairs that go along with those things. The second piece of that is running one of the biggest state agencies in the state of Maryland, the Department of Maryland State Police, with a budget of $342 million. The county commissioners here are charged with just that, with developing the budget based on its income and the revenues from different sources, and then being able to allocate that money in an effective fashion to provide for schools, which here in Calvert County takes almost half of the budget itself. And that falls to the school board, but the county commissioners are still responsible to oversee how that money is spent and its effectiveness for the citizens. So I think with the background that I have in both running big agencies and both serving in the House of Delegates, where we work through issues as far as budgets, different laws that create tax benefits, those kinds of things, all comes together, and pulling together as a group of county commissioners, not as a single individual, to be able to help make the choices with good consensus and good input from the citizens of the county, and be able to spend that money correctly and wisely, and be able to understand what the future economic benefits have, so we don't have to raise taxes continually to offset the losses due to the services that we provide.
Great. Hey, we're here with Colonel Tim Hutchins, who's running for the county commissioner in District 2 of Calvert County. He's a former member, three-term member of the House of Delegates in Southern Maryland and Charles County, former superintendent of the state police, and a governor's cabinet member as Secretary of the Veterans Affairs and Secretary of Homeland Security. So we're asking Tim Hutchins, how do you feel your experience is going to help make you a better commissioner?
Well, a longtime mentor of mine, Buddy Linton, told me that experience counts, and it sure does. I learned that in the House of Delegates with him. My experience in government, working for 3 governors directly in their cabinet, my time in the General Assembly, I think positions me very well as far as being able to bring those skills to the table and helping the Calvert County Commissioners over the next 4 years. The next 4 years are critical. Calvert's at a critical juncture. The commissioners over the next 4 years will set the stage for the decade that follows as far as growth, transportation, economic development, those kinds of things. So that kind of experience that I was able to obtain in those different positions in state government in particular will be invaluable to helping the commissioners as a body be able to deal with what lies ahead in the next 4 years.
Great. Tim, can you describe this area of Calvert County where we're standing?
Sure. Well, this is home. This is Buena Vista, where I grew up. My family home was in Barstow. And as you look across here, this is the Hutchins River looking over towards Chalk Point. To the northwest, to the southeast, or southwest rather, is Benedict, and the bridge that crosses over on 231. This area used to be deck to deck, my father told me, with oyster boats during the winter time in the earlier days when he was a child. It's a lovely place. This is a good example of what we want to try to preserve in Calvert County for the future generations to come. Its heritage, its culture, its environment, all very important and key components about who we are as a people here in Calvert County. Obviously, we're confronted with enormous growth pressures, and that being 35 miles from Washington, D.C. is certainly going to be an issue for years to come. But we must strike the balance between the growth, having the economic stability, and be able to save places like this river for future generations yet unborn.
Great, thank you. We're here with Tim Hutchins, running for District 2, Calvert County Commissioners in the Republican primary. And the question for this segment of the episode is, Tim Hutchins, what do you think should be done about school safety?
School safety is one of the foremost points that people talk about today, and rightfully so, with all the unfortunate events even here in Southern Maryland. True tragedy. The commissioners have moved very quickly on that, and I applaud them for adding the $2 million to the school budget to help with securing the physical facilities. And they're behind on that, and some of them are difficult to secure because they're open classroom type facilities. That said, that's only one aspect. We have to look beyond the portals of the school and beyond its perimeters into the neighborhoods, because these kids spend most of their time away from school. So we need to understand what's going on there also. Mental health professionals in the schools and school systems are very good here in Calvert County because they're contracted with the county health department through there. But I'm not sure about how well prepared they are to deal with this kind of thing as they move forward. So the second piece of that is what do we do in the neighborhoods and with the families and the parents and the teachers together, as well as with law enforcement. We still find that information exchange in law enforcement fields is still very much constricted by law in some cases, as well as siloed by just agency means. But we need to look at the laws that need to be changed to allow mental health issues that flow out of a professional and mental health field can flow to the schools and to the law enforcement agencies, so we can have a better understanding and get ahead of this situation. It's not going to go away. It's going to be there because it's in the news, and people see this, and unfortunately students and others see it as a means to vent whatever their frustrations or whatever their troubles are. So it's a bigger picture than just putting locks on school doors, and we've got to really get into that with mental health, with laws that allow the transfer of information, and most importantly with other kids to say, if you see something, say something. Get it to a parent, get it to a teacher, get it to somebody you feel confident in that can pass it on. We have to be able to save these kids. This is a tragedy. The shooter, the victim, the parents, everybody in school. It's just a whole tragedy that they will live with the rest of their life.
Tim Hutchins is running for the Republican nomination for District 2 Calvert County Commissioners. Tim, would you like to comment on how your experience is better than that of your competitors to be a county commissioner?
Certainly. I think experience counts, and the degree of experience I've had with working in state agencies, with being in the House of Delegates, with being in the cabinet of 3 separate governors is an enormous advantage to bring to any situation where you're going back into government, be it local government or state government or federal government. So that especially works well for me here in Maryland, I think. While I applaud anybody that runs for office. That's a noble endeavor to undertake, but I think the key issue at this point in time, we're less than 2 months away from the primary, is people need to start to look at the experience factor when they begin their decision making as to who they're going to vote for.
Great, thank you. With Tim Hutchins in District 2, Calvert County Republican primary. Tim, what would you do about the tax situation right now in Calvert County?
Well, first I'd start immediately with the property tax. We can do that, and that's a quick fix. They raised the property tax along with the income tax in 2016 to close the budget gap, and was not there in their shoes at that time, but we can change that and roll that 0.9% back. That amounted to a little over $2 million of the $8.9 million that they needed to close the budget gap in 2016. Property taxes have risen $1.4 million. Income tax has also risen, so we can refund that bit back and roll that 0.9% back and get it back to the constant yield rate that we can work with from going onward. That's something that needs to be done. For people's property, their houses or homes are the biggest investment they have normally individually, and we need to do what we can to straighten that out, and that's an easy fix, and should be able to do that in the first 30 days of taking office.